Fellow Africans, brothers and sisters, before we became bondmen on our own soil, we were a free people. We were widely regarded as the richest continent on earth. It was, in fact, for our wealth that we were colonized. It was for our wealth that we were divided and weakened. This day should remind us that Africa is the original cradle of human civilization. As we commemorate this year's Africa Freedom Day, it should remind us that we signify what the beginning of life looked like. It is therefore impossible to keep a people like us under bondage for too long. This day must remind us that we have our own heroes and liberators. We must publicly honor them and write our own books. Our history must be deliberately retold on this day. Known as the Africa Freedom Day, Africa Liberation Day, or Africa Day, this day carries significant worth for every African. It reminds us of our prowess as a people to free ourselves from the shackles of colonialism and creates hope that united we can defeat any enemy that may rise against us now or in the future. With our bare hands, we defeated the oiled colonial armies. All it took was a decision to never again be slaves on our own soil. The resolve was accompanied by fearless and principled leaders who, at the price of their own blood, unshackled the continent from slavery. It's for this reason every African must celebrate this day. Today, Africa stands as one of the most enlightened continents. It has produced great scholars, historians, scientists, doctors, and many other fields. It has produced the likes of Ali Mazrui, Chinua Achebe, P.L.O. Lumumba, and others who have ably diagnosed the core problem of our continent, from poor governance to high levels of poverty created by our own ignorance as to who we are as a people. We are now living at a pivotal time in world history. The world is about to change from COVID-19 from what it used to be before COVID-19. We are the generation chosen to shape tomorrow's world. We are the transition. My message to every African in the post-COVID era is to insist that we frame our own future. We must not wait for the West to prescribe a future for us. If we do, they will place us exactly where they want us to be, and that's at the tail end of the new civilization as they did before. In 1884-85 at the Berlin Conference, where Africa was apportioned to European countries, no African was invited to the round table. In Second World War, Africans were mobilized to go and fight alongside our colonial masters. Countless number of Africans lost their lives, but when it came to share the benefits of that victory, Britain, France, the United States, and others excluded Africa again. The only thing we got was a new name or title of the Third World. History is back again, except this time it has found us grown, matured, and more enlightened. Accepting the backbench again would be an act of recklessness on our part. Some of the areas we must immediately start to interrogate are how to protect and manage our wealth, the natural resources of the continent of Africa. We must search for a new system by which we can govern ourselves, which meets our aspirations as a people. We must be bold enough to embrace our cultural values above those we import through television and the internet. We must promote our natural foods which kept us healthy all throughout our history. We must promote and sing our own songs. We must promote and wear our own clothes. We must be proud of our own languages. If we don't do our own thing, we shall always be at the back of the line imitating those ahead of us. This is a battle we can never win. We can't beat an American at being American. We can imitate them, but we can't beat them. Neither can an American beat an African at being African. It's easier to be a carbon copy than an original. We must not choose the easy way forward. The coronavirus pandemic provides a very unusual opportunity to reclaim our inheritance and our God-given values. If we miss this turning point, we may have to wait another 100 years before we can reshape our own history. The larger part of this transformation shall depend on the type of leadership Africa shall select beyond COVID-19. If it will be business as usual with rigged elections, Africa's plight shall be worse than in the last century. We shall rig our own future to our own destruction. Beyond COVID-19, African nations must realign their multilateral relations with the rest of the world. We must revisit all relations with China, the United States of America, European Union, India, and other G7 nations. Our relations must be based on mutual respect. To achieve this, we must leverage future bilateral or multilateral relations on our indisputable natural resources. Further, we must avoid the temptation of engaging the world's bigger economies as individual countries. We must leverage our 1.3 billion population as a continent when dealing with China, for instance. Gabon, with a population of only 2.2 million and a GDP of $16.8 billion, cannot equitably negotiate with China, with a population of 1.3 billion people and a GDP of $13.6 trillion. Today, we fully understand our problems as a continent. We can no longer continue to outline our mess before the world. It's time to change our history. To do this, we need new thinking and new leadership on this continent moving forward. It cannot be business as usual. We need to set up special think tanks which constitute the best brains and hearts that Africa has to deal with the new approach to governance and the management of our resources. Africa is ready to lead. May God bless our great continent. I thank you.